Hello, hello. Looks like we got a new patch note, beta patch note 0.101. Thought we'd take a look at the changes. And let's see. Oh, there's like a little more going on here. Hey everyone, Anthony here. Time for another beta patch. Today we're going to do something a little different for the patch notes. I'll be giving some insights into design intent. Reminder that nothing is set in stone. Lots of back and forth. Okay, sounds good. Oh, I never fixed my mouse. I don't know if I'm gonna upload the patch note stuff out of order, but I've been kind of having mouse issues on my most recent run. Anyway, okay, looks like reworks and reverts. Silent. Oh, they're bringing back prepared. Okay, interesting. I kind of thought that prepared was too good, especially with Sly, and it looks like they're just bringing it back. Maybe they didn't like how prepare felt. I still thought it was fine, but honestly, it was like you're basically playing it to trigger Sly more than you're, you know. Interesting. I mean, that's definitely gonna make Silence strong again. I mean, I don't think she was like weak necessarily, but prepared was definitely crazy. Let's see, Necrobinder reverted Capture Spirit back to whence it was, and reverted Borrowed Time back to whence it was. Okay, so I thought that Borrowed Time was completely nutso, and even the old one or the new one energy potentially was still worth it, but the 2 energy for 3 Doom is pretty incredible. Okay, looks like there's explanation here. I'm reverting the changes made last week for Prepared. While I still think that the slice synergies are overall too dominant of a strategy, Prepared is so integral to the Silence core identity that I'll be looking for a different approach to bring Sly in line in the future. Okay, so he knows it's strong. Obviously, we all knew it was strong just by playing it. It's on the radar, but doesn't like where this landed. So that makes total sense. Although it is one of those things where it's like you're in the beta. Don't get too attached to prepared or the Sly stuff. I still think Ricochet is way too good. That's kind of been my take the entire time, but let them do what they want to do. I support the devs in their whole process here. Borrowed Time is likely to receive a complete rework in the future. I think that makes sense, but for now, I prefer that the card is fun to play with in all decks. Okay, sure, fair enough. So, yeah, just have fun for now, he's saying. I think that's fine. I haven't taken post nerf Borrowed Time, but been offered it. It still seems like it'd have a spot. I don't know. Using a card for 1 energy is kind of narrow because you either need to have all the draw ready or I don't know. It's a little narrow early game. Reworked Arsenal. Power, rare, cost 1. That's its old thing, right? When you play colorless, gain strength, and now it's when you create a card, gain 1 strength. Oh, that sounds like a buff. Because not every colorless card is one that you want to play, like all the cards that create them. For the most part, it sounds like you would gain more from the new one. Because maybe you play Collision Course, but you don't necessarily play the status that it makes for you. This works for that. So it seems really strong, and the innate looks really good. Okay. I didn't really play with Arsenal, the old Arsenal, that much, so I don't really have a strong opinion on this, but I mean, this looks good for what it is. Reworked Pendulum. Every 3 turns, draw 1 card. Okay, Pendulum was an infinite enabler, and I was able to do infinites even post patch or whatever. I think. Wait. I think my Necrobinder, I have a Necrobinder run post patch where I go infinite with like a 50 card deck in at least one of the fights. I can't remember what side of the patch it's on. Um, every 3 turns, draw 1 card, so it's more like a happy flower for a draw. I think that's fine. Maybe even a little bit better too, because now if you get it and you have one of those fat decks, you're going to get a little more out of it. And there's like that skill of prepping it beforehand. So it kind of breaks with the like pendulum, abacus, sundial sort of thing. But they can always figure that out later. Enemies reworked. Oh, and nerfed the Doormaker. Fight is now less random. Doormaker is receiving another rework. Now each visual phase he has It's its own unique power to hamper the player. All of them are disruptive and will hopefully encourage interesting play, but should now be less random and reward player agency more. That's interesting. So I know that the original, not the original, but like the most recent patches, Doormaker was pretty controversial. Personally, I liked him. If anything, maybe he like hit too hard. Like he was swinging for a lot every turn. I thought it was very interesting to think about. Like it's kind of like Time Eater in the sense that like his existence, he's the boss whose existence makes you think carefully about how you're building your deck through the entire game. So I liked that there was one of those. Maybe he'll still be doing that, maybe not. We'll have to play him and see. I truthfully, it is beta, so I guess I don't feel that strongly about it because everything in beta is subject to a lot of change and obviously highly receptive to feedback. I do feel a kind of way about people review bombing the game and like basically I thought the blowback against Doormaker was so disproportional and I don't really like the feeling of things changing because people cry too much. Just a difference in like philosophy, I guess, when learning a game. I've never really been super into like super heavy patches and things that bounce too much based off of the players. I kind of like just trying to take the game as it is. And I know that's on me for playing early access, right? It's going to be like this. So I'm kind of keeping my thoughts in line with that. I like Stormmaker. I kind of wish that there was more opportunity to practice against him because I only played against the new one a few times. But hey, new Doormaker, it might just be a more fun experience. We'll find out. And maybe the idea from the last Doormaker is still kind of in there. I think the idea of just crunching cards you draw is, I thought it was interesting, but okay. Balance. Elites can no longer spawn on floor 6. This is very interesting because I feel like the game definitely has been giving me very early elites. I didn't realize that it was different from Slay the Spire one, but it did kind of feel early, so like I sensed it on vibes, but I didn't know the numbers specifically. Map generation consistency, I'm not entirely sure the ramifications of that. Fixed maps sometimes generating fewer shops than intended. I have noticed that sometimes I got hosed on shops. Bloom Ascension modifier no longer affects question mark rooms, only rest sites. Okay. Let's see what they said here. Since Niao counts as the first floor elites, we're actually spawning one forward. Oh, that's funny. That it was just like a coding quirk. It wasn't a design decision at all. It was just like just a byproduct of making like the elite rooms or the ancient rooms, I mean. Okay. Yeah, that's actually huge. I do feel like early elites are pretty bad to deal with, so those super early ones I had been avoiding more recently, or preparing heavily for. Additionally, we found some improvements could be made to the map generation algorithm to help limit the number of maps overflowing with early monsters and not much else. Okay, fair enough. For the gloom change, although it did make the game more difficult, it was not in a satisfying or fun way, as it just made the maps less interesting. Yeah, I guess what you're saying is that if you're just running into regular enemies all the way, then you're actually not choosing the path all that much. Instead, I'll be looking to rework Gloom entirely in the future to a modifier that makes the game harder but in a more interesting way. I kind of like the way he's speaking. I don't know, this might be a little weird, but like he's not saying too much, but he is saying that he's just trying to make things more interesting. Playing the cards a little close to the chest while still communicating, I kind of like that. Yeah, I mean, more varied maps is more decisions. More varied maps also benefits the player because you have more options to work with. So if you're a better player, you make better map decisions, which is good. And then as a consequence, you should be able to win more often off of that. So I guess that's fine. Cinder's buffed, now a random card in your hand, and Tremble now exhausts. Okay. Yeah, people, I guess maybe this is like too unpleasant to deal with, and so now the only one that's like really that terrifying is that battle cry one or whatever it's called, drum of battle. So Cinder is a random card in hand, but it doesn't look like it ever unrandoms, like unlike True Grit, where the upgrade makes it not random. I don't know. Cinder sounds probably better like this. It's definitely better early on, and you don't get too trolled out of like losing your one other card you added to your deck. I haven't picked Cinder yet, so this is cool. Trumbull makes sense. Now Exhausts is good because in the early game you don't need 4 vulnerable on someone. Or like if you do have 4 vulnerable on them, you don't need to apply another 4 vulnerable. And then later in the game, yeah, it triggers the exhaust energy. So that sounds like a buff to Trumbull. I like that. Serpent Form, I have not played with this card yet. We'll see. This looks like a nice upgrade. I don't know if I would... I'm sure I'll pick it at some point. I can't really speak to Serpent Form, so I apologize for that. Oh, and my thing is kind of in the way. Sorry, let me try and keep the words down here. Region, buffed Falling Star. Ooh, okay. That seems good. An extra point of damage, never hurt anybody. Glitter Stream got buffed. Parry, yeah, Parry needs to keep going up. 10 is probably a good number. I guess we'll see. This thing used to be 6, man. It made no sense, because, like, your sword is your finisher. Refined Blade is doing more. Celestial Might, wait, okay. Let's go back to here real quick. This seems incredible, because it's a starter buff. Glitter Stream, sure. I thought Glitter Stream was already worth taking. Parry is interesting. You can actually use your sword. More ways to use the sword without it just being the finisher, I think makes it a little more interesting. Celestial Might. I played with this card recently, and the one additional hit definitely makes more sense for why you want the card. Because it's a payoff for patter, adding vigor, adding strength. It's a way to do multiple scaling. So this makes the upgrade more appealing because it's giving you an extra trigger, and that's kind of in line with Sword Boomerang and Ricochet and stuff like that. Refined Blade, just a straight buff. This is a pretty substantial buff as well. I might take this card a bit more. Because this is the one that gives you the energy back, right? So 9? 9 and I get the energy back sounds actually quite good. Sword Stage no longer increases the cost. Is that the one that double plays your sword? That sounds pretty good. I don't know how much this mattered. I guess it just was a feel bad, right? Because you're already paying for the sword, and then you gotta... Yeah, I don't know. Your sword's your finisher, so who's to say how much this matters? I mean, energy always matters, but like... Yeah, it's just a straight buff. I guess they didn't like it. I never really played with Sword Sage. Changed Spoils of War card. Now draws 2, but Forge is decreased. That makes more sense. I think a raw Forge felt kind of weird. Draw 2 is like kind of incredible as well. I expect this to be a good card. Nerfed Voltaic. Energy increased from 2 to 3. Okay, I had one Voltaic run. I got it at the very beginning. It ended up being really strong, but it was kind of hard to carry originally. This makes it harder to carry, but I've definitely seen the power Voltaic has, so that's fair play, I suppose. Tiny Mailbox giving 2 potions. I really like this. So this is like, you get it early and you want to take a bunch of elites, and the elites are like in your ass. You could like play both potions to get through an elite, and then immediately refill and then take more elites. I like this. I do like this. Oh, it looks like we're changing a bunch of rarities. Yeah, to be honest, I'm not really perceiving the rarities when I play. You know what I mean? Like all the relics are basically random, so this doesn't really mean anything to me on a practical level. But hey, I'm sure that they have their reasons, and it looks like they'll say something down here. Changed crossbow tanks, now uses free to play. Oh, this is the Regent thing. This plus this is all just to make sure the star cost doesn't hose you, which I think makes sense. And then Vexing, it's also a huge buff to Regent because he has some incredible cards. Vexing Puzzle Box only lasts until the end of turn. That's also kind of important because I've definitely had runs where you actually like end up leaning quite heavily on the puzzle box. And I think this is already strong enough, so hey, fair play, I suppose. For Relic Rarity, the design goals that commons are not necessarily weaker, but that they are often simple effects that could add value to most decks. As rarity increases, we allow higher complexity and more impact. Okay? That's how you want to do it. Fine with me. Skulking Colony got nerfed. Deals less damage. Damage scales slower and no longer applies dazed. Okay, so he got like nerfed 3 times over. That seems quite incredible. Like for the player, because Skulking Colony sounds. You had a very direct way of playing, right? You can only kill him at a certain speed, or you have to win through statuses like Doom. And then he also hits you for a bunch, so you really just want a bunch of block. But you can't be too slow because of the dazed. But now you can actually be too slow because you can just be super duper slow, and you're probably not going to get punished too hard. Change taunted chip now applies dazed statuses to the player, so that just got moved over to you. I think this was the guy that like just applied all the afflictions on you, if I remember. Nerfed, lost, and forgotten. Stat theft no longer scales with ascension. I didn't even notice that was a thing, to be honest. But okay, he got nerfed. And Waterfall Giant is a little bit weaker. Or HP is a little bit lower. That's fine. I don't know how much 10. I mean, it all matters, right? One extra turn can be a stronger geyser that you have to survive. I've had some pretty close calls with Waterfall Giant, so I think this is all fine. Skulking Colony went from too weak to too strong. This nerf should put him more in line with how difficult the fights were intended to be. Additionally, found that the dazed actually works against the design goals of his power. The new version is a tighter design overall. It presents a more unified question for the player to answer. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what I'm saying, right? He's just asking how good your defense is, because you're going to be forced to take a certain number of attacks. And you just kind of chip him as you go. If the encounter is now too weak, simple numbers can be buffed in the future. Okay, fair play. Disallowed gold generating relics to show up in Welcome to Wongos. That makes sense. It's too transactional. Mad Science skill chaos option now uses free to play. That's another Regent thing. Okay. Sounds good. Art stuff, UI stuff, bug fixes. Fixed exploit where you could controller navigate. Okay. Fixed a crash. Soft lock. Sorting. I don't know how much any of this stuff really matters for like gameplay. I mean, I don't know how much of it affects the difficulty of a run. It sounds like that all got sorted out. This is all just like game polish sort of thing. Pal Potion no longer damages Asti. That's kind of interesting because it did say everyone in all caps. I could see the argument either way. That's interesting. But okay, that is like a buff, right? State divergence. That's some coding stuff. I don't know what that means. Fix the soft log when playing Scrape against Doormaker. I don't think I've taken Scrape yet. Fixed black screen. Okay. Oh, that's funny. A little exploit there. Okay, that should be fixed. Fix soft lock when you play an imbued card. That prompts a card selection. And Baku's Whispering Earrings. Oh. I had this happen in a co-op run where there was toolbox and then they had the earrings and then the toolbox kind of stopped Vaku from actually playing the turn. But it didn't soft lock the game. This seems to be only an imbue. But toolbox does the same thing, so hopefully they take a look at that. I did bug report it for the record. Fix issues with Pale's Eye when the player dies at the start of the extra turn. Oh, that's interesting. All room, SFX, state divergence, timing divergence, and then some multiplayer stuff. Okay. Not as heavy as the previous patch, but I don't know, I guess it's changes to Doorman and Skulking Colony, and then Silent is like so back, and Necrobinder never left, but she's so back too. So we'll be playing on this patch. We'll see how much backlog I have to get through on the older patch. Very cool. We're gonna try and stay on top of these the best we can. So thanks for hanging out with me. Let me know what you think, and until next time.